absolute value inequalities this time. But first we have to talk about what absolute value meant. Remember what we said absolute value was? It was the what?
How far a number away is from zero.
Absolutely. How far? Get it? Absolutely. Get it?
Is that a pun?
I mean, it's a pun. You see how I came up with that right on the spot? Yeah.
I can see.
I know. All right. So how far away something is from zero. But now here we're saying the absolute value of x is greater than 3. So we want all the numbers so that their distance from 0 is more than 3, right? So if this is 0, this is 3 units away. And this is 3 units away. But I want the distance to be greater than 3 units away, right? So I want this region here. Now, what does that look like to you? Does it look like an OR inequality? Right? Yes, it looks like an OR inequality. Now, in the next case, I have the absolute value of x is less than 3. So I want all the numbers so that their distance from 0 is less than 3. So here is 3 units away. And here is 3 units away. And I want the distance from 0 to be less than. So it's right here. Now, does that look like a, what type of, and inequality? So this is going to look like an OR inequality. This is going to look like an AND inequality. Okay? So, whenever we have a situation like that, we rewrite the question either as an AND inequality or an OR inequality. Okay, so take a look at this one. We have absolute value less than or equal to 5. You want the distance to be less than 5. That's an AND inequality. So what I do is I say, okay, this is going to be bounded between -5 and 5, correct? So I say -5 less than or equal to x minus 4 less than or equal to +5. So you take whatever the absolute value is and you go between -5 and +5. Okay? Now we solve it just like we did before. Add 4 to all sides. So we have -1 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 9. So that'll be from here to here, and now we're experts at this part, so that's how we do it. Okay? All right. Yep.
Does it matter like what the circle is, like if it's like colored? Oh
No.
no, never mind.
Yep. Okay. So x plus 7 is absolute value is greater than 2. Now you want the distance to be greater than 2 units away, right? So that's an OR inequality. So I say x plus 7 is less than -2, or x plus 7 is greater than +2. Do you see how in this case the absolute values are opposite direction? I'm sorry, the inequalities are in the opposite direction. Here they were in the same direction. Okay. So again, it's going to be less than -2, greater than +2. So here x is less than -9, or x is greater than 9. So here and here. Oh, -5. Oh my word. Okay. Thank you. Here. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay, next. Special cases. What if you have absolute value of b less than -3? Okay? Can that happen? That can't happen, okay? Because how can you have like the absolute value of a number be less than a negative number, right? Like if a number comes out of the absolute value, it's always going to be positive, correct? How can that be less than a negative number? So this is always no solution. All right. But what if you have an absolute value greater than or equal to -6? Is there any number that comes out of the absolute value will be positive, right? So no matter what, it's always going to be greater than a negative number, correct? So this situation is always all real numbers.
Wait, I'm a little bit lost.
Okay, so any number that comes out of the absolute value is going to be positive. And that means it's always going to be greater than any negative number. So that's going to be all real numbers. Any number you put in for x will work. And here, any number that comes out will be positive. It can never be less than a negative number, so that's no solution. Okay, let's move on, and then if you guys have any more questions, hopefully, let's see if we can address them here. Okay, so here, this one, the distance, look, I always do this, like with my hands, and in my mind, too, I'm like, okay, the distance is less than 10. So is that and or? And, because it's like bounded. So I go negative 10, less than or equal to, less than or equal to 10, and then this just drops down here. Okay? So now I add 4 everywhere. Negative 6, 3x, 14, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, negative 2, x, 14 over 3. Okay, so negative 2, 1, 2. 14 over 3 is how much these days?
4 and 2.
4 and a little bit, right? 4 and a little bit, and it's going to go in between. Yep.
If you were to do it not like that, wouldn't it be the opposite value of 3x minus 4 is less than negative 10? Or do you switch it to?
No, because if the distance from 0 is between negative 10 and 10, right, then it's got to be greater than negative 10 and less than 10.
I know, but just from looking at the top.
Just from looking at the top, you want the distance from 0 to be less than 10, right? So the farthest you can go is 10 here, and the farthest you can go is 10 here. So it's got to be greater than negative
So
10.
for the end, whenever you make it negative,
Uh-huh.
for the end, on an absolute value, you switch around
So the sign stays the same.
but you switch around what side the 3x
Yes.
minus 4 is.
Yes.
Trying to switch.
Yeah, because this is greater than negative 10
Right.
and smaller than positive 10. Okay, this one, and or? Who says and? And for sure. Oh, but wait, I jumped the gun. What should I have done first? Subtract the 4. Negative n plus 1 less than or equal to negative 2. Ooh, now what?
No solution.
Now it's no solution, because how can something come out of an absolute value, be a positive number, but be less than negative 2? So that's does not happen. No solution. Do I put anything on the number line? No. But do you see how I would have totally gotten that wrong if I continued with my jumping of the gun situation before? Yeah? Yeah.
Question though, because since it's negative n, like wouldn't it like switch once you multiply by 0?
Right, but the negative is inside the absolute value. So, yeah. Okay. So here. Okay, what am I going to do first?
Just get rid of the negative.
Get rid of the negative, divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. So,
So the sign switches? Or?
the sign switches around.
No, yeah.
It's
you
negative
can.
15.
15.
Negative 15.
Oh.
And then you switch
You
the
didn't
sign.
switch the sign.
Oh my gosh, Miss Malikian.
But it's negative 15 is. Doesn't it?
It's all real numbers. Okay, I mean, now that I got it right, it's all real numbers because you've got an absolute value greater than a negative number. If you want, you can, write it this way because it's more conventional. And then you can also see, okay, anything that comes out of the absolute value is positive. By default, it's greater than any negative number. So this is all real numbers. And then what do I put on the number line?
The arrow line.
I shade the whole, I do the arrow over the entire line. Yep. And then I'll get you.
Can't it not be like negative 15 though?
Correct, but it's not negative 15. It's greater than negative 15. So maybe it's like 0 and upper. But the idea is, Can M be
Yes.
negative 5?
Because if you multiply a negative by a negative, you get a positive.
25 is greater than negative 15.
Exactly, so that works, right?
We're saying that n
M is all real,
Not
not the
M.
absolute value. Yep,
Doesn't all real numbers include like negative numbers?
correct. So, okay, so can M be negative 1? If M was negative 1, you go in here, you have absolute value 5, which is still greater than negative 15. Yeah?
Yeah, so just to clarify, like M has to be a positive number.
In this situation, M can be anything because it's all real numbers. Because if M, okay, let's try to like plug it in. If M is negative 1, this will be positive 5, and then it's still greater than this, right? Okay, let's do the next one. I'm going to multiply by 3 on both sides. 8r plus 5 is greater than or equal to 21. Was that a sneeze? Okay, and or. So tell me, 8r plus 5, what? How do I say it? Less than or equal to?
Negative 20.
Yep. Or 8r plus 5 is greater than or equal to positive 21.
Wait, why are the signs different?
Because for or, you have to switch the signs. Like you have to make them opposite. Less than, greater than. It has to be less than or greater than. So I subtract 5. 8r less than or equal to negative 26. R less than or equal to negative how much when we simplify? 13 over 4. Here, 8r greater than or equal to 16. R is greater than or equal to 2. And in between, I got to put the word or. Back when I was young, I had to put or in all the steps here. But, just put it in the first and the last, and it's good. Okay, and then go ahead and graph. Huh?
Algebra class, that's what the teacher taught
Huh?
us that. In
No.
algebra class.
Yeah, to put or everywhere. Yeah, but now you're moving on to bigger and better things, and you've earned the right to just put it in the first and the last step. Okay, so when we graph greater than or equal to 2, and then that's gonna go between 3 and 4. Okay. Here, I add 4 first, so absolute value, negative a, greater than or equal to 3, right? And or.
But you have to add 4.
Well, I added the 4 first, yeah. So now, negative a less than or equal to negative 3, or negative a greater than or equal to positive 3. Oh, now what?
Or it would be just positive A because absolute value.
Yeah. No, not yet. It's still negative a. Now we have to divide by a negative. So it becomes a is greater than or equal to 3, or a is less than or equal to... Whose phone is that? All right. So first, you just take away the absolute value and keep it as it is. I know what you're saying, Micah, but like technically, mathematically, you have to keep it until that last step, right? Because this has to switch too. Okay, who had a question? Zoe, did you have a question? Huh?
Funny enough, you did it. You already did what my question was, so it's just funny.
Okay,
Sorry.
we were talking about this earlier at bonus today about how often, like I've been teaching for so long and I've like got this spiel, and usually like I know exactly what questions people are gonna ask, and so I'm like, and like I see people like raising their hand and like I'll say something and they're like, oh yeah, like like yeah, so yeah, okay, so less than negative 3, greater than positive 3. Okay. All right. So here, let's do some going backwards. Yep.
How do you do the thing on the bottom of the page?
Oh, what thing at the bottom of the
No,
page?
no, no. Or on the other page you're on.
The next page.
This one? Oh yeah, we're gonna do this now. This is like my favorite. You did this in Algebra 1? Did you see this in Algebra 1? I think so. Yeah. Okay, so remember we talked about this in section 1.4. So basically this is the center of your region. And this is called the radius or the range. Okay, this is called the range. The center, however, remember this is x minus c. So whatever this number is, you're going to take the negative of it, right? So if x minus 3, you take 3. If it's x plus 2, you take negative 2, okay? Now, look at this one. This is a less than, right? Is that and or? And. So what you do is, here is the center, and then you have 2 points here, right? This distance is r, this distance is r, right? So the way we write this is, we say negative r less than c, x minus c, less than r, and then you add c to both sides. So we get c minus r, x, c plus r, okay? So from this point, I go here to c plus r, c minus r, okay? And then this region here is r and r. So we can do this one here. This is an or. So it's going to be x minus c less than negative r, or x minus c greater than positive r, okay? So this is going to be x is less than c minus r, or x is greater than c plus r. So now look, this is c. I have 2 points here. This is c plus r, c minus r. And so in this case, it looks like this. Okay? Okay, so basically, what we're going to do now is, do you have to go?
I'll wait 4 minutes.
Okay, it won't take too long. So basically now we have this. We're going to come up with the equation. Do you see how here?
Reverse.
It's reversed. You see how here I gave you this? You gave me the number line. Now I'm giving you the number line. You're going to give me the equation. How fun is that?
Unbelievable.
So here, take a look at this number. This is negative 1. This is 7. Back from your geometry days, we need to find the midpoint of this. How do you find the midpoint? You add them and you divide by 2. So in this case, the midpoint will be 3. 1, 2, 3. That's your C. So here, I say x minus that number. Now, is this and or or? Or, so it's going to be greater than. Okay, how much is this distance? From 3 to 7. 4. 4. And you're done. Okay?
You do the thing on the other side.
Now let's do it again.
You don't have to do the little.
No, because it's going to be the same, because this is also 4. You found the midpoint. Yep. Can you wait 2 more minutes? Let's do negative 8. This is negative 8 and 2. So when I add, what do I get? Have a seat until I'm done. When I add, what is the midpoint here? Negative 3. 1, 2, 3. Negative 3. So here I'm going to put x plus 3. Is this an and or or? And. So this way, less than or equal to how much? How big is this? 5.
Do you have to write negative 3 below there?
No. Okay. Can I tell you guys one other thing and then she has to go? let me tell you a little shortcut mnemonic reminder thingy. Okay, less than, look, less than, and, less than, and, greater, or. Yeah.
Oh, wait, say it again.
Oh!
Can you say it one more time? Say it one more time.
Less than, and, sounds like and, right? Less than, and, greater than, greater, or,
I'll take your
and inequality, or inequality. Okay, all right. With
Wait,
that,
less than and greater than or.
Wait, Miss Malik,
Yep.
how much